Why does your stomach clench into a fist the moment that specific name lights up your phone screen? Maybe it's your mother, your partner, a friend you've known for years. You stare at the glowing letters. You freeze. Your pulse hammers in your throat. And before you even swipe to answer, a wave of cold dread crashes through you. You haven't spoken yet, but you already feel convicted. Your mind races backward, frantically searching. Did I forget something important? Did I say the wrong thing last time? Did I leave a message on red? The answer is almost always no. You've done nothing wrong. In fact, you're probably the most conscientious, thoughtful person in that entire relationship. You're the one who shows up. You're the one who apologizes even when the fault isn't yours. You're the emotional janitor, constantly cleaning up messes you didn't make. Yet somehow, you move through life carrying this constant hum of dread, like a fugitive waiting for sirens. This is the cruel paradox of modern relationships. The people who give the most often carry the heaviest burden of shame. Listen carefully. That crushing weight in your chest, that's not your conscience. That's not evidence of your failure as a person. It's a trained response, a psychological tripwire that's been carefully installed in your nervous system, one interaction at a time, often across decades. We call it a guilt trip, but that phrase is far too gentle. A trip implies adventure, maybe even pleasure. This isn't a trip. This is an emotional kidnapping. Over the next several minutes, we're going to disassemble the entire architecture of this manipulation. I'm going to show you exactly how your compassion has been turned into a weapon against you. We'll explore the neuroscience behind why saying no triggers your brain's survival alarm. And, most critically, I'm going to introduce you to what I call the invisible bill, a concept that will change how you see every guilt-laden interaction for the rest of your life. Picture this. You walk into a restaurant. You don't order, you don't eat. You sip tap water and sit quietly. When you stand to leave, the server blocks your path with a bill for $500, and you pay it. You reach for your wallet because you're polite, because you don't want to cause a scene, because the thought of disappointing a stranger makes your skin crawl. This sounds absurd, doesn't it? No sane person would hand over money for services they never received. And yet you do this every single day with your emotional currency. You're settling debts you never incurred, paying for meals other people ordered. Today, that ends. I'm going to show you the 3 distinct roles in this toxic dance, and I guarantee you'll recognize yourself in one of them. By the time we're finished, you'll possess the tools to look your manipulator in the eye, see their tactics with perfect clarity, and finally experience something revolutionary. Nothing. No guilt. No fear. No obligation. Just quiet, solid peace. Let's dive in. First, we need to identify exactly who you are in this dynamic. Through years of clinical work, I've developed a profile for the primary target of guilt manipulation. I call this person the Peacekeeper. You're likely someone who takes pride in your emotional intelligence. You're the designated listener, the one who notices when something's wrong before anyone says a word. As a child, you were probably praised for being so easy or wise beyond your years. You learned early that your worth in the family ecosystem depended on your ability to absorb and neutralize the stress of the adults around you. This created a hardwired pattern in your brain. Safety equals compliance. When someone you love is upset, your brain doesn't process this as a mere inconvenience. It registers it as a mortal threat. Your amygdala, your brain's ancient alarm system, starts screaming. It floods your bloodstream with cortisol. You feel physically ill. Your chest constricts. Your stomach drops through the floor. And the only way to silence this internal siren, the only way to get that sweet hit of relief, is to fix their emotional state. Say yes. Apologize profusely. Absorb the blame like a sponge. But here's the psychological twist that most people never grasp. You think you're acting from love. You believe you're being a devoted child, a supportive partner, a loyal friend. But neurologically, you're not operating from compassion. You're operating from terror. You're soothing them to stop your own panic. You're paying that invisible bill to end your internal alarm. And the manipulators, whether consciously or unconsciously, have learned exactly which buttons to press to open your wallet. Let me share a personal revelation. I once had a friend who would always release this deep, weary sigh before asking for help, just this profoundly sad exhale. Before he spoke a single word, my brain would go into overdrive, scrambling to anticipate his need. I'd offer money, my time, emotional support, all before he'd even articulated the request. I thought I was being a good friend, demonstrating emotional attunement. I wasn't. I was a trained animal, salivating at the sound of a bell. This brings us to the mechanism, the actual machinery of manipulation. How do they do it? They deploy a psychological weapon system known as F.O.G, fear, obligation, and guilt. Fear is the foundation. Not fear of physical harm, but something more primal. Fear of abandonment, of disconnection. The weapon of choice? The silent treatment. Have you experienced this? When you establish a boundary, and they simply stop acknowledging your existence, that silence isn't just uncomfortable, it's physiologically devastating. For social mammals like us, being ignored by the group once meant certain death. When they withdraw all communication, your nervous system interprets this as a survival emergency. You'll do almost anything to restore the connection. Obligation is the second layer. This is where they construct elaborate narratives. After everything I've sacrificed for you, I gave up my dreams so you could have yours. Family means putting each other first. These aren't statements of fact. They're unsigned contracts they're trying to enforce. They're reframing their past choices as debts you're required to pay indefinitely. Your independence becomes recast as betrayal. And then comes guilt, the nuclear option. But we need to distinguish between two fundamentally different types. Healthy guilt is what you experience when you've genuinely harmed someone. If you steal, lie, or deliberately wound another person, guilt is your moral compass functioning correctly. But what you're experiencing is neurotic guilt. This is the feeling of being inherently bad, simply for having needs, for maintaining a separate existence, for exercising the word no. Here's the neuroscience behind why this works so devastatingly well. A process called Projective Identification. This is the core mechanism behind the invisible bill. Imagine the manipulator holding a burning coal in their bare hand. That coal represents their unprocessed pain, their loneliness, their insecurity, their inability to self-regulate. It's searing their palm. They lack the emotional tools to set it down or cool it off. So what do? They toss it to you. When they say, "You never make time for me anymore. You're obviously too important now," they're throwing that burning coal of their abandonment wounds directly at you. If you catch it, if you feel that surge of guilt, if you start apologizing and overcompensating, you're now holding their pain. You're feeling their burn, and miraculously, they experience relief. They've successfully transferred their suffering into your body. You're literally digesting their emotional poison for them. This is why you feel completely drained after these interactions. You're not just managing your own emotional state, you're processing theirs too. You've become the waste treatment plant for their toxic feelings. And here's the devastating catch. As long as you continue processing their waste, they have zero incentive to build their own treatment facility. Your enabling makes their dysfunction comfortable, even sustainable. But it gets worse. Once you begin to see this pattern clearly, your first instinct might be to simply explain it to them. You think, if I can just articulate how this affects me, they'll understand and change. So you prepare. You rehearse what you'll say. You gather your courage and try to communicate your truth. And then, like a master magician, they flip the entire script. They won't understand. They can't or won't hear you. Instead, when you attempt to express your feelings, they'll accuse you of being overly sensitive or making things up. They'll twist your words like a Rubik's Cube until somehow, impossibly, you're the one apologizing again. This is the final trap, the last layer of the maze. Trying to get an emotional manipulator to validate your reality is like walking into a hardware store and demanding they sell you fresh bread. They don't stock it. They never will. And you'll starve, waiting for what they cannot provide. So here's the solution, the only real escape route. It's the most difficult thing you'll ever do, but it's also the only path to freedom. You must stop paying the invisible bill. When they hand you that bill of guilt, when they sigh dramatically, when tears well up in their eyes, when they make cutting remarks about how alone they feel, you must train yourself to look at that bill, acknowledge its existence, and leave it on the table. You don't pick it up. You don't debate the charges. You don't justify why you shouldn't pay. You simply refuse to make it yours. This is where you evolve into the third type of person, the cycle breaker. To embody this role, you need to completely reframe what guilt means to you. Right now, your nervous system interprets guilt as irrefutable evidence that you've done something morally wrong. I want you to rewire that entire neural pathway. Starting today, when you set a boundary and feel that familiar wave of nausea, that suffocating guilt, I want you to interpret it through an entirely new lens. Guilt is not a stop sign. Guilt is the sensation of growth. When you feel guilty for saying no, it doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you're doing something courageous. It means you're dismantling a pattern that's held you prisoner for years, maybe decades. It means you're finally prioritizing your own psychological survival over their temporary discomfort. That guilt you're feeling? It's not evidence of moral failure. It's a withdrawal symptom from an addiction to people-pleasing. Yes, it feels awful, but it's the feeling of bones healing after being broken. It's the sensation of your spine straightening after being bent double for so long. You must make peace with the fact that you'll be cast as the villain in their narrative for a while, maybe forever. They'll announce that you've changed, that you're not the person you used to be, that you've become cold or distant. Let them believe it. Let them tell that story. Being the antagonist in their distorted version of events is infinitely better than being a ghost haunting your own life. Project yourself 10 years into the future. If you continue paying every emotional bill they slide across the table, where will you be? Completely bankrupt, hollowed out, a paper-thin version of yourself, filled with nothing but resentment and bone-deep exhaustion. Is that the person you want to become? Or do you want to be someone who had the steel to withstand the hurricane of their disappointment in order to save your own soul? The choice has always been yours. The bill is sitting on the table. Walk away from it. Now, here's what you need to understand. Breaking free from guilt is only the beginning. Once you stop paying, the manipulator won't simply accept defeat and walk away. They'll escalate. They'll change their approach. They'll deploy phrases that sound loving on the surface, but are actually precision engineered to demolish your confidence and pull you back into the cage. Most people collapse right back into the old pattern at this stage because they don't recognize the hidden architecture of control embedded in seemingly innocent language. In the next video, I'm going to decode the 5 specific phrases toxic people use the moment they realize they're losing their grip on you. You've heard these phrases your entire life, but you've never understood what they actually mean. The real message hidden beneath the words. You cannot afford to miss this breakdown. These phrases are the last line of defense manipulators use, and if you don't learn to recognize them, you'll find yourself right back where you started. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because missing the next video could mean the difference between lasting freedom and another decade of apologizing for your own existence. I'll see you there.